بلد كثير الخيرات فيه كل ثروات الزراعية والحيوانية والمعادن، فكيف أكون جعان وكيف أكون عاريان وكيف أكون مرضان بدون دواء في بلدي الغنية.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, the fate of South Sudan hangs in the air as the nation clocks closer to the deadline for the conduct of the general elections in 2024. How has the SPLM, as the main party that dominates the political landscape, prepared itself for the first post-independence competitive national plebiscite? What necessary reforms has the SPLM instituted to ensure that its internal cohesion and cross-national appeal are established? And can the SPLM fix South Sudan? And joining me in the program is Honorable Peter Lamboth, Secretary General, Sudan People's Liberation Movement. It's my pleasure to welcome him to Terab FM and to Fixing South Sudan. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. May you introduce yourself to my audience.
My name is Peter Lamboth. I'm SPLM Secretary General. Thank you.
And your party doesn't need any introduction. And what will you say is your preparedness as everyone is talking about elections in 2024?
Well, generally, a party preparedness is measured by the following. Number one is the organization of the party. The SPLM, as we speak, is organized from boomers, payams, counties, states, and national level. The second one is the state of outreach to the electorate, and that is to engage with grassroots, and that is what SPLM has been doing since 2022. And the third one is to ensure that the preconditions as established in the agreement are implemented before the end of the interim period, so that we are able to conduct the election successfully. So we believe that SPLM is ready.
Let me talk about the time when you were appointed in August 2021 as the interim SPLM Secretary General and confirmed this January 2023 as the Secretary General. What state did you found the SPLM in? What was the SPLM as you found it?
SPLM suffered a great deal in 2013 after the split. The members of SPLM moved out. Some of them were no longer in the country. The creation of 28 states and thereafter 32 also dismantled the pre-existing structures of 2008. And the lack of visitation from the SPLM national leaders to the grassroots level to listen to people's concerns also exacerbated the desperate situation in which the SPLM was. My first mission as an interim Secretary General at the time was to go to the states and establish those offices, those structures that were destroyed during the war, and to create unity within the party, especially among the top leadership, so that we have one common agenda and one common vision for the party. The state of SPLM at the time was really desperate, but I'm happy to report that our party has recovered from that and we are now in the right direction.
And to talk more about some of the strategies, yes, you have been moving around more than any other time in the life of the other interim Secretary Generals. What did you find? Did you find that your party still has the popularity to carry it forward?
The SPLM at the grassroots level is extremely popular, and especially so because our people believe that it is the SPLM that brought about the independence of South Sudan through the referendum which we conducted in 2011. They also believe that the SPLM was not able to implement most of its vision for the country because of the internal problems that happened just immediately after independence. And so they want to see to it that SPLM really need to get a chance to give the people of South Sudan the services that they need. But when you come to the national capital, especially Juba, where most of the intellectuals are, this is where you get a lot of negative voices, and especially diaspora, where people have extremely high expectations for what the SPLM could have delivered. But I think that is the nature of intelligentsia. We always see things through critical eye and see what is not rather than what is there.
And as we move forward, let's be candid about the shortcomings of your party, and those negative voices are saying what? That the services should have been delivered and they have not been delivered. Why would you say that the promise, the peace dividends that were the promise of the SPLM liberation are not implemented?
Well, first of all, I think it would be fair to say that the vision of SPLM is intact as it was. What happened was that the people who were entrusted to manage the affairs of the party and to carry out the vision were not committed to it. And as a result, they deviated from what the people of South Sudan want. As a result, we have the state in which we are. And so between 2005 and 2011, as you know, the preoccupation was for SPLM to ensure that a successful referendum was conducted. That was what our leadership really put their thinking into. And as soon as we got independence in 2011, between 2011 and 2012, this was now the time that we were expecting to now move into service delivery to our people. Then the question of leadership came up, in which the power struggle from within the party came up, and war started, and there is no development together or going alongside with war. And so therefore, from 2013 up to today, we have really been fighting a war, and we have been trying to implement the peace agreement in which we believe by the end of the year, 2024, we will hold an election.
This program speaks about fixing South Sudan. Can SPLM fix South Sudan?
I think, as they said in some of the stores, they say if you break it, you fix it. I think the point of the matter is that the SPLM is the only party that will fix South Sudan, because first of all, they know why they fought for a country, and as a result, we have stipulated in our manifesto that we want to establish a democratic, united country, which emphasizes fairness and freedom and inclusivity for all. This is a vision that is comprehensive and encompasses all facets of society. We know why we liberated the country. We have the programs in place, and we are asking the people of South Sudan that let them give us a chance to implement the new vision for the next decade of the SPLM.
And they are actually saying that the SPLM had all the time that it needed for it to deliver. You are talking about wars that have intervened in between. They have affected your ability to deliver services to the people. But they are saying those wars are a making of the SPLM. And in fact, they are saying the SPLM has failed. Why should SPLM get another chance?
I think that that would be a wrong characterization of SPLM. SPLM is not an individual. It is an idea. It is an ideology. Those who fail are those who were entrusted to deliver the SPLM promise to the people. But unfortunately, instead of doing that, they focused on their own and they focused on power struggle, which led to the fighting. I want to emphasize this. Once somebody has rebelled against the constitution of the party, that they went and formed their own party or they went and fight against the party, those are no longer members of that party. So therefore, whoever has waged war in 2013 is not and should not be associated with the SPLM because they left the SPLM. And our constitution is very clear. They would have been dismissed a long time ago. So I think those who are SPLM would be those who remained in the SPLM. And these are people who could be blamed for not implementing the vision. But then it was wartime. Every system has to defend itself when it is attacked. And so therefore there was no way a development agenda could have been implemented during those days.
For SPLM to fix South Sudan, SPLM itself has to change. SPLM itself has to be fixed. You told me about the SPLM as it was, as you found it. Where is SPLM going? Where is it heading to?
I think that SPLM must transform from a liberation movement to a political party. And that is what we are now working on. First of all, a political party must have structures in place. So SPLM has the structures in place. A political party must have a broad-based support. So the SPLM has a broad-based support across the country. We have our outreach. We have extensively been registering members of SPLM to the tune of 4.9 million in the country. The party must have local engagements, and we have that. So we believe that a party must also be conducting democratic transitions within itself. That is to say that primaries must be conducted before the conventions. So that the SPLM is truly democratic and the SPLM members are able to choose who the leaders would be. I think those are the things that SPLM is currently engaged with.
And for SPLM to be fixed, let's go back to what was wrong with the SPLM. You mentioned the 2010, then we will come to 2013. In 2010, what was the problem? There was infighting and the phenomenon of independent candidates was the norm. What happened in 2010, and is that going to change going forward?
What happened in 2010 was that a system of electoral college was instituted at the time as the best strategy to go about to select the candidates for SPLM who were going to be running against other candidates from other parties. The electoral college system was mismanaged, and for that reason, a lot of cadres were not satisfied, and so they believed that they were not given the chance, the fair share, to compete freely, and as a result, there were independent candidates who declared themselves. But they were saying like this: even though I'm running as independent candidate, by the time I win, I will still come back with the seat to the SPLM. But so that was what created the chaos, the electoral college. We are not going to use electoral college this time around. We are going to use our caucuses. Caucuses in terms of the party leadership, and primaries in terms of those who will be competing for government positions, members of parliament, the governors, the president, and so on.
And we come back to 2013. Again, it was internal revolt, and it led into a civil war. The issue was about democracy within the party. What was your take on what happened in 2013? It has been characterized as many things, but as the boss of the SPLM, what do you say happened?
Well, what happened in 2013 was a power struggle within the party, and those who wanted to be the flag bearers for SPLM, started to campaign before time and began to mobilize their bases to support them, and even influence how the SPLM documents were going to be written, especially the manifesto and the constitution. And so that created a problem within the party. I think it also went to the fact that the SPLM was still using its historical hierarchy, which is one of the hardest things to overcome, because that's how it used to be. But we believe now that the time has come that we have to conduct congresses, and that whether you are a senior cadre or junior cadre, if your constituency has elected you to an office and you have defeated the senior cadre, the SPLM will live with that decision. That is where we are going, and that is where I believe the SPLM will have truly transformed itself from liberation movement to a democratic political party.
There are members who wanted to contest at the higher level, at the chairmanship level, and there was some restriction. Also, the mode for voting, show of hands or secret ballot, it wasn't allowed. Are you saying that everything has been corrected?
Yes, in a sense that I think one of the issues with the voting method, which some people said it should be by show of hands, the others said by secret ballot. But the SPLM 2008 constitution provided for the two. And so the fighting was really baseless, because either you would have said, if there is no consensus, then you will have to use the secret ballot. But most of the times there was a consensus. And so for us, the SPLM constitution right now, as amended in 2016, provided for the two methods to be used. When there's no controversy, the show of hands would be applied. And when there is controversy, a secret ballot would be applied. When there's no controversy means it is unanimous and there's no reason for anything to happen. So I think by applying these two methods to our discussions and solving our problems within the party, we don't anticipate problems again.
You're on Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. With me, Madingor, and with us in the program, Honorable Peter Lambot, Secretary General, Sudan People's Liberation Movement, makes a case for his party as 2024 beckons. And what have you brought to the SPLM as a person, your philosophy, your ideas, your spirit? Now the SPLM of Peter Lambot. What can you say you have introduced? What have you brought to the SPLM?
Well, I think first of all, my understanding of a political party is different from others, in a sense that I don't plan for SPLM to be built for just these next elections. My thinking is that we want to make the SPLM very strong for the next 2 to 3 consecutive elections. Even if the leadership changes in the Secretariat, we will still have the same momentum that will drive us forward. That is my thinking. The second one is that the SPLM has now come to this level where we need to transition from liberation spirit to a political party that is ruling. And that is to say that the policies of the SPLM, which must be designed by the SPLM leadership in the National Liberation Council with the committees that are set up, must be the ones to come up with policies. And those policies will now be the ones to be implemented by the SPLM ministers, whoever those people might be. Because the current practice is that the government, the minister decides the policies that they want to do. They go and present it in the Council of Ministers, and it is approved, and then that is how it goes. But the SPLM has no true control of what ministers do. And so we think that in the next decade, the SPLM will really be the ruling party, which will say, this is the policy for our education. And now we have to look for a comrade, a cadre that has the right credentials and experience to implement the education policy in South Sudan. You first have to have the job, then you look for the person. You don't need to have the person and then look for the job. So we think that is how we are going to move forward. And I also believe that hard working in the SPLM will take us very far. We also believe that we don't want to spread ourselves too thin if we are going to have high impact projects in the country. We need to plan better. I know that everything is a priority, is a national emergency, but we have to capitalize on key issues, especially roads, agriculture, electricity, and service delivery to our people. I think those are things that will lift us out of poverty very, very soon.
And for those who are listening to us, you can actually get ready to ask some of your questions. The Secretary General of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement is now in the studio at Terab House. And the number, our studio line, is 0981 876 876. 0981 876 876. What do you want to ask the Secretary General? Get prepared, and I see some of you are already getting ready. Good evening, Terab. Simon, Marab. Min وين؟
أنا بتكلم ده في استوديو سلام سنة وجاب بس برنامج سنة. فأنا عندي سؤال غير معرفة على الأمور. ليه SPLM الكان في كذا وSPLM على أسا الجاي جديد ده يعمل فاجعة لSPLM في كذا. ليه أنا بقول كلام ده وفي الناس SPLM في كذا. هنا كلنا بدون ما يسمعلهم بالتعين بشيء حاجة عشان هم كانت كلم لنا قالوا هم بالدولة جهود. لكن في الدولة ترى هم ما بعرف شاب. ما بعرف أفاكر ما بعرف موت. يعني أنا جينا يريدنا الكان في قبل كلام عليه بقوله أنا بعرف ده حقيقة. لكن الجاي جديد ده وده عمل بيزنس بتاعه ده يطلع فريق بتاعه بعض الناس بعمل ريستوران. هو رأي بتاعه شنو بيشكل الناس ده بيسيبوهم عن جوا بخيروهم عشان يكربوا ولا بخلوهم يعملوهم كيف. ده نمرة 2. SPLM عمل حاجة كويس. ما دايرين الناس يجي وصفنا ساكت يقول SPLM بدل ولا حاجة.
Okay, shukran jazilan للمشاركة بتاعك. And we are in the program with Secretary General of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, and you have been hearing what he is saying. We got your question loud and clear. The number to call is 0981 876 876, and you can address that question as we wait for the other callers.
Well, شكرا سايمون. سؤالك سؤال مهم جدا. طبعا الحركة الشعبية اللي كان في بوش أو في غابة ده كان عندهم هدف واحد، والهدف إنه عايزين يحقق الحرية للجنوبيين وكل السودانيين كان برؤية بتاع السودان الكبيرة. وبرضه كل الناس اللي كانوا في حركة شعبية بيتكلم بلغة واحدة، إنه نحن نوحد بعضنا، نشاكل الحد ونحقق الحرية بتاعنا. كان ما في قروش هناك، ولا كان في زول بقول إنه والله يا أخي نحن ناس قبيلة فلانية نحن ما فيشين في الحركة الشعبية أو في جيش الشعبي. كان الناس كلهم متطوعين، ما في زول كان بلقى أي حاجة. ده كان جاب الوحدة بين الجنوبين. لكن لما الناس جاءوا هنا في ماذا هو الاتفاقية الشامل في 2005، ناس وصل في مدن والرؤية بتاع حركة شعبية خلوه، وناس كتير ماشى دايرين يعمل لحاجات بتاعهم الخاص، وكل البرنامج بتاع الحركة الشعبية. لأنه الجروجة الناس بيجين إنه يعني يصرف في ماهية، وبعض التانيين بيقولوا إنه وينو ناس قبيلة بتاعين ليه ما فيشين في حركة شعبية. ديل الأسئلة اللي كانوا جابوا لنا مشاكل. المهم علمنا من كل المشاكل ده، ونانا عايزين نقول للجنوبيين إنه الحركة الشعبية أعلم من الخطأ ديل، ونحن ماشيين لقدام عشان نصلح البلد وعشان نمشي قدام عشان نوري للجنوبيين التنمية الهم عايزين.
And when we talk about transforming the SPLM from a liberation movement to a modern political party, what does it actually mean?
Well, it really means that a liberation movement is based on a specific agenda of, say, you are fighting to defeat your enemy. You are fighting to gain freedom. And that is the basis by which creates unity for the liberation movement. But once the liberation movement has achieved victory, now comes governance, then the liberation movement has to sit down and say, we have now achieved our objective of independence, of freedom. Now, what do we do with independence and freedom? That is a question for a political party, which calls for you now to sit down and come up with programs for development, programs for implementation. For instance, program for agricultural development, programs for roads, program for energy and electricity, program for water services, program for education, program for so many. And you must be so disciplined to the fact that whatever you have written in your programs, you are able to implement so that the citizens are able to benefit. That is the difference between a liberation movement and a ruling political party.
And would you say the SPLM as it exists, as the necessary programs in place, the bureaucracy is in place, and if you are given another chance, you are going to deliver? But before you answer my question, let's pick a caller.
Yes.
Good evening, Terab.
Yeah, good evening to you.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah.
Munuman.
Thank you for the show. I'm happy, my dear commentator, my dear presenter of the night.
Thank you.
So I had a question for Honorable Peter Lambert, SPLM Secretary.
Yes,
Hello?
Go ahead. Your name was?
I'm Manuel Dio.
Calling from?
I'm calling from Matar.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. I'm seriously having a question going to the Honorable Peter Lambert. Is SPLM ready for election? If the question is yes, let him justify properly, because I've seen there's no political space up to now for other opponent of SPLM. Again, I can see some restriction because I can see some restriction in both citizens, political parties, and everyone in the country. There's no freedom of speech. Though you can speak, and there's no freedom after movement.
Okay.
Is SPLM ready for election?
Your question is loud and clear, and let's give him a chance to be able to answer the question. And we are on fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. With me, Madingor, and with us is the Secretary General of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. We talk about the road to 2024. Let's get a few more, and then you will get a chance. Good evening, Terab. Good evening, Terab.
Hello, Riyadh.
Yes.
Madimar.
Yes.
Is good. Antabalan.
Munu?
Aja what?
The Munu?
Isum Dai Marine Mayan.
From where?
I'm calling from the side of the Madizin.
Mandisin.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mandizin.
welcome.
Okay. Aja what ya? Mulu Asgalo Umai Chakal. Asgalo Chakal. Raduman Gadi Tigaman the man Gam Betavda Jinubin Hulu. Ma Gadin al Ataka. Uman Gadin Ajal Waja al Jinubin. Beletana Betala Kef. La Luma Naja Tala Beletana. Aliana Nina Jazi Beletana, there now. So that would add. Rina would read a Kina Kalamaji. Let me chuckle. Marty Lolo Pinu.
So give us SPLM a chance.
kuna dai kulu shakalin da man da man man ga amfi gaba man ma bi kulu na ka aliyan jayi madina madina hak batana yawo asa madina gari kogo lisa da fi.
Okay, shukran jazilan le musharaka bitak, and it is very clear, and you are saying that give SPLM a chance. SPLM has always been on the side of the people before and even in the time to come. The studio line is 0981 876 876. Misal Khair Terab, good evening.
Hello, Tef.
Tamam, Munumana?
Ana Mazi Steven.
From where?
Ana Dar in Kopori.
Okay, welcome.
اوكي انا اعتباري والله بنشكركم كحاجه اليوم جميل ده. انا ما قدرنا اودي سؤال لكن بس قدرنا نتكلم لكل الناس اللي بيسمع SPLM عمل حاجه كبيره. في المثال انا مولود في جوبا وانا ربيت في جوبا ووقت في السودان رجيم بتاع عمر حسن بشير كان ما في حريه زي ما حصل الحريه عندنا ده. بخلاف بتاع SPLM يجب لنا حريه حتى الجنوبيين عندهم حريه بيشتري اي حاجه اللي هم دايرين ده كله جاء من SPLM. وكان زمن السودان القديم ما في زلك الجاء من جوبا للوري لكن ده SPLM يعملوا. ما في زلك اللي كان قوم من جوبا لتركيكا ده SPLM يعملوا. ما في زلك هو منين لبور SPLM يعملوا. وما في كان كهرباء لكن SPLM يعملوا. كده من دي شانس SPLM.
Okay, thank you very much. And we can take maybe two more, and then we give the Secretary General a chance to address the question. Good evening, Terab.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Maringoro.
Yeah, Munumana?
Yeah, Alfred Dari Lavara.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, أنا بنشكر بيتر لام بوس السكرتير جنرال اوف SPLM. فعلا بصراحة SPLM
خليك يكون بعيد من إذاعة.
SPLM عمل دور. SPLM عمل دور. يا بيقدر يجيبوا الحرية هسه الشعب بتاع جنوب السودان هسه قاعدين يستمتعوا بالحرية ده. حاجة الثانية هنا دايرين في SPLM ده ذاته يكون في ريفورم في SPLM لأنه هسه في ناس ومن كان SPLM ومن هسه pull out from SPLM ومن ثاني كمان بيجي في SPLM كمان وفي الديسم رجوع كمان في SPLM ده من كمان بيعملوا الصفقة الثانية في SPLM. SPLM ما كنت بال عشان زول بيمشي بطلع من إيجيبت وباخد زمن وبمشي لإيجيبت ثاني بعد فترة وبرجع ثاني لإيجيبت كان فيه أول. فده برضه في كوشن مارك محل هنا فSPLM. حاجة نمرة 3 الأخير إن إحنا دايرين SPLM يلعب دور كويس في الانتخابات الجاية. يعني الانتخابات الجاية دايرين بلد يكون فيه حرية تامة. الحرية التامة ده لازم يكون فيه الانتخابات ده لازم نرجع رئاسة البلد ده إن إحنا وصلنا لمرحلة إحنا بقينا بنلجأ الصوت بتاعنا للزول اللي دايرينه عشان بعد ذاك زول بيجي بيمشي بسياسات الشعب.
Okay, thank you very
لكن لما
much.
نكون في فترة انتقالية ما بيكون كويس. شكرا.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you have a sample of some of your supporters.
Yes.
And I think you can go ahead and answer some of these questions.
Well, thank you very much to the listeners. First of all, let me try to answer the question from Maluel Dio. Comrade Maluel, the SPLM readiness is measured in 3 areas. 1 is in the organization of the party, 2 is in the unity created within the party, and 3 is the grassroots outreach, which has registered 4.9 million, and we continue to engage with our grassroots. That is our readiness. Concerning your question about political space, Comrade, I want everyone to listen carefully. In SPLM, we have said that all political parties, regardless of their sizes or where they come from, are free to organize themselves, that is, to establish their offices, are free to hold their rallies anywhere they are able to do. If IO can hold their rally in Freedom Hall and establish and register their party in Juba, in Kwajok, in northern Bahr Ghazal, in all these areas, there is no reason for any party not to open or not to hold their rallies. What I am seeing is what Professor Peter Adok described in one of the workshops as fear of your own space. There are many political parties who are not trying themselves to hold their rallies or to organize themselves because they fear something they don't know. I think that is wrong. They have to come out and start and see if there is anybody who stops them from doing their work. Then now they can alert all of us to go and do that and stop that. SPLM itself is facing some challenges in certain areas. For example, in May this year, when I was going to counties in Greater Upper Nile, we had a lot of challenges. One of the challenges was in Panga County, where the IO literally threw away our cadres whom we sent there to organize the party and held them at gunpoint and sent them away. The same thing in Panjijir County in Unity State, where the commissioner of IO in Panjijir County returned our cadres by the same plane that they used to go there. What we say normally is that in order for you to have an open space, open political space, you must do your work, you must demand it. I want to see, or I want to hear a political party leader is arrested by SPLM because you have organized your party or because you have held a rally. That will be something to work with. But to just say a blanket statement that there's no political space is just wrong, because there is nothing to base it on other than the reports from NGOs, from civil society groups, from some of the Western diplomats who are not interested in the agreement itself. So I would want Genovine to really think hard and see why they are saying things which they are not attempting. There was one political party which tried to hold a rally sometime in Miesaba, and that political rally was defeated by rain. It was not by anybody. And so I think as far as that question is concerned, I want people to make sure that they demand their right and they do their own work there, and if there's a problem, let them tell us. Otherwise, Comrade Mark Mayen, Comrade Stephen, and Comrade Alfred, I want to tell you that truly you reflect the feeling of South Sudanese people, that the SPLM has been with them in all the difficult times, and it shouldn't be now when we have the freedom that SPLM can turn its back on our people. We are committed to deliver the vision that we started with. Whenever you move, the road has ups and downs, and our down came in 2013, but now we are coming up, and we believe that with this coming election, with the kind of preparation that we made, and with the desire of our people to see to it that SPLM as a liberation movement is able to implement its vision, there's no way that SPLM will not be able to overcome all the challenges. I really want to thank you for that.
And Mr. Secretary General, when the SPLM says that it is ready for elections, are you sincere in that call, or is it going to be like another national dialogue, which was called and didn't go anywhere? Are you really sincere there will be election in 2024 and you mean it? It's not a strategy.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as the roadmap is concerned, the interim period ends in December 2024, and we will have a new government. And we are working day and night to make sure that this election takes place. It is not some kind of a loose talk. It is true. And myself and many, many others have called on other parties to organize themselves. There is this issue that many of the signatories to the agreement are not interested in election, not because there are outstanding issues which can stop or prevent an election, but because they don't see themselves winning. And so they are comfortable where they are and they want to drag us forward. I heard one political party leader said that they want the agreement to be extended to 2027. I don't think South Sudanese people are ready for this kind of government we have now. People need to have a clean government that is able to deliver services to the people rather than paying salaries, huge salaries to some people who have just been brought in because of the agreement.
And let me talk about what is outstanding, and that is what some of the observers, not those political parties you are referring to, are saying as the reason why maybe there's no seriousness. The Artigonu has not reconstituted the political parties council responsible for registration of political parties, nor have they established the institutions responsible for the making of the permanent constitution, and the unified forces have not been deployed to provide security, and so on and so forth. And so what would you say about the outstanding issues that are important? Is that not a reason why the elections may not happen?
You know, first of all parties to the agreement are responsible for its implementation. Some people believe and they assume that it is the SPLM that has the monopoly of power to push things forward. Even the smallest party has a responsibility to bring to the table so that the agreement is implemented. There are 5 prerequisites in the agreement that need to be implemented in order for the election to take place. Number 1 is the deployment of forces, and I think people are right if they are concerned about that. The forces as we speak now are moving from place to place. They are being prepared for deployment. I'm very sure next 2 weeks we'll have good news for that. Even though we are still waiting for Dr. Riek Machar to bring the list of his commanders who will be now leading some of the military establishments. For the last 6 months we have been waiting, but they have been withholding the list of their people with the intention of delaying that election. But we believe that the deployment will take place hopefully in the next 2 weeks. This is number 1. Number 2 is the Elections Act. I think it is already signed by the President into law. The Political Parties Act is also signed into law. What we now have is to reconstitute the Political Parties Council and the National Elections Commission. And I can tell you in this studio that we have finished this process now, and hopefully next week some decrees will come out. So there is no way for somebody to wait until the last minute to say that, oh, these things are done. So these prerequisites are going to be completed in less than 1 month.
The issue of census.
And so when we come to non-essential issues in the agreement, one of them is census. Census is not a political thing. It is a scientific process which we believe cannot be attached to a political outcome. We think that the 2008 census projected to 2024 will be used as a base for the elections in terms of constituency delimitation, because the same constituencies that we use in 2010 election will also be used in the upcoming election. So there is no need for you to come up or to be in a hurry to conduct a census. The second one is a permanent constitution. You don't need to have a permanent constitution in order to conduct an election. The permanent constitution is going to be a process that will be completed by the newly elected parliament of South Sudan. But we think the process must start now, and it has already started and is continuing. That's why they say permanent constitution making process. It is not an event. So in order to, if it is the issue of having a constitution, there are 3 ways you can do this. One, we have the constitution for the government of Southern Sudan, which we use for election of 2010. It can be used to conduct the election of 2024. Or you can use our transitional constitution of South Sudan government. You can still apply it for 2024 election, or you can come up together as political parties, leaders of political parties, to come and come up with the framework for an election, a legal framework that is for an election of 2024. I think either of these three should be used to conduct the election. The last one is the return of refugees and IDPs. This is non-essential because you don't need refugees to return to South Sudan in order to conduct an election. Refugees are people who decide on their own voluntarily that they want to return to their country of origin. The government of South Sudan cannot go to Uganda or Kenya or Ethiopia to tell people come for elections. That is not their job, and I don't think that anybody expects that to happen. But we believe that that our partners in peace are holding on to these non-essential parts of the agreement as though they were the primary things in order to make an election. So I believe that that the prerequisites are going to be met, and whoever will be talking about extensions, I think we will all have to look at them and see where they are getting that from.
And when we do have the elections, is it your commitment that it is going to be free and fair, and South Sudan will not return to war again as a result of elections dispute?
Let me assure our people that as a party, SPLM, we are preparing ourselves to win with a very large margin. That will make it impossible for anybody to claim that rigging has been done. We want to make it very transparent, fair, and credible by having international observers, by having agents of those parties to be in every place where votes are being cast and counted, and to make sure that this is to the satisfaction of everyone. Of course, as African elections, you can never rule out complaints. Because some people never go to election expecting to fail an election. They go there in order to win, and if they fail, they will claim that there is irregularity which has taken place, and those will be verified by a competent National Elections Commission. Yeah. So I don't believe that there will be a problem after the election of 2024.
And what is the basis of your confidence that the SPLM is going to win by a landslide? Is it what you have done or what you will do?
What is the population of South Sudan? If the population of South Sudan is 12 million and we have already registered 4.9,
that is your own statistics. So maybe that is not the truth.
No, we cannot lie to ourselves. These are people with names, with telephone numbers, and you can call them and you say, are you a member of SPLM? They will say yes. So for us, the SPLM is still popular in the grassroots. I don't want the national capital vibes to make the people think that SPLM has no support. Because whatever happened in Juba last time, the people of South Sudan in the grassroots, they don't understand it. They don't know what is it that caused the war of 2013. It was just political leaders who wanted to take power by force and were resisted, and that is what happened. Our people in the villages need services. They don't need anybody. They don't care who is there. They care that services reach them. So whatever happened in 2013 is regrettable. We apologize for it many times. Our chairman has apologized for it. And we want to assure our people that it will not happen again.
You apologize for the war. Do you also apologize for underdevelopment that has happened across South Sudan under SPLM watch?
If war is imposed on you, the only thing you do is defend yourself. You cannot provide development in a war zone. I have been telling our people this so many times. It is a well-known phenomenon. When war started in 2013, there was no way development could have come. And I think that is why our people are not happy. Because why would people fight? Because you want to become president. You go to the people of South Sudan, compete and let them elect you. Nobody will have a problem with you. But if you try to mobilize your ethnic bases to come and take power by force, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work in South Sudan.
About a month ago, your chairman, you also made the same point that the liberation, the president, the chairman of the SPLM said the liberation is not finished until we deliver development to the people of South Sudan.
That is correct. It is not over. Because what was the purpose for having independence for the people of South Sudan? The purpose was for them now to be able to enjoy the fruits of their freedom by ensuring that they have the services they need. By having all the people of South Sudan to engage in the activities that can, in productive activities that can improve the economy. Now, if you look at our population in the villages, most people are not working. Most people are not in the agriculture because of this insecurity that is going on. So we believe that development of South Sudan will have to come from private sector, from citizens, and from the government. It is not going to be one side that brings all development by itself. Government is as strong as its people. If its people are not working, it will be a weak government, it will have a weak economy, and it will have many, many problems.
Assuming that the SPLM does win the elections by a landslide, what is going to change? How will you transform South Sudan in every ways? How will you deliver that transformative agenda? What is going to change? What will you do differently?
I believe that the leaders of the next decade will be different from the leaders of the last decade. This is number one. Number two, the majority of those who will be in government will be people who know how what development looks like and how it is done. And the majority most of them will be from the from the former Red Army. Because what is the objective of the Red Army now? The Red Army's objective is to develop South Sudan. They have no other way. Because the liberation legacy is already taken by Jej Aswad. Jej al-Amr shukulu ayakun shunu. 10 years bas ma fi haja tan. So I am very positive that the next 10 years will transform South Sudan. And we are hopeful that our people are ready for this election so that they have a lean government, a government that is development oriented, and for Comrade Salva for the first time to lead in peace without interruption from so many elements that are out there.
And let's talk about the status quo, part of why it is difficult to deliver change. In the current SPLM rule, there is rampant corruption, and you haven't taken any cadres to jail for engaging in the vice. Is that going to change? Would you say that the SPLM that is coming will be the SPLM of transparency and accountability? Is that something you are willing to say it emphatically?
I definitely would want to say that the past experience has not been good because of lack of accountability. I think all of us, we understand that if there is a crisis in our country, it is lack of accountability and lack of law enforcement. These have been the challenges, and we believe that we have learned from that. And as we move forward now, we are going to be extremely serious about it. The rules are going to change. The leaders who will be supervising some of these things will change. And we believe that that our people generally, the people of South Sudan, are good. This issue of corruption came really unexpectedly because of so many other factors. Some of it is not even corruption but mismanagement, because you will find that in our country we have so many people who are suffering, who are poverty
stricken.
Who are really so poverty stricken, and they may go to an institution asking for assistance, and being the same people who liberated this country but are wounded during the liberation, and they are not able to provide for themselves. A colleague in the office will sympathize and will be forced to give them something. That giving them something, even though it is morally good, but it is legally wrong, because there is nothing in the budget there which says that personal assistance is accepted. So some of these are the ones that are really draining some of our resources. But people categorize all of these as corruption. But when you go to details, you will find that corruption in South Sudan need to be looked at in a different way. Even a minister, when you are appointed, your people from your village, they think that you are their minister. You are not the minister of the government. And they all move to your house with their children, with their many wives. And now they expect you, the minister, to feed them all, to take their children to school, to take them to hospital, to do everything for them. Now your salary of 15,000 South Sudanese pound, can it feed all of these people? So you will be tempted to look elsewhere to get something to take care of the people. So these These are the complexities. When we talk about corruption in South Sudan, it is not black and white. It is a complicated matter. But we believe we have learned in the past many years of independence, and we hope that the next 10 years of SPLM or 5 years after the elections will really be time for development.
The youth are the majority of the populations, and you are on record saying that we should be able, that you should be able to appeal to the majority, the youth and the women of South Sudan. What have you done under what policies have you come up to incorporate this vast majority?
Well, SPLM believes that it is the youth who liberated South Sudan. Most of our current commanders went to Bush at the very young age. Most of our liberators were very young that time. They were youth. And because of knowing that there is always a transition, they instituted what was called the Red Army. And the Red Army were even younger people who grew up in the movement. So by that, the SPLM also knew that the SPLM women in those days were not only actively participating in the battlefields, but they were also the ones taking care of the wounded, bringing food to the battlegrounds, doing everything possible. So for that reason, the SPLM in the constitution has recognized women with 35% and youth with 20% when it comes to government and party positions. But not only that, the SPLM really must work very hard to bring private sector on board so that the jobs are created for youth and women, and to also provide youth entrepreneurship for our people to engage in business, because it will never be possible for the government to employ everyone. And so therefore we think that youth must be empowered, women must be empowered practically, whether it is in the field of agriculture by giving them some soft loans, or through the government itself, or through the private sector. So we need to be able to engage them in the next decade. I think the next decade will be brighter than the time we have spent now.
And I am going to wrap up my questions, and then I will take some few questions. You are on fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. With me, Madingor, and with us in the studio, Honorable Peter Lambos, Secretary General, Sudan People's Liberation Movement, talking about the general elections in 2024 and the SPLM preparedness. He has already answered many questions. South Sudan is a fragmented society, and in those days, the SPLM was the glue that was holding South Sudan together and managed to liberate the Republic of South Sudan. Does the SPLM still have the glue to hold South Sudan together, fight tribalism, and ensure that the flag of the Republic remains, it doesn't come down?
Thank you very much. The SPLM, the glue, the magic that SPLM used during the liberation was for South Sudanese people to fight, liberate themselves, have their independent country. That was the glue that kept us together. We now believe that the glue that is going to keep us together will be our program for development, provision of roads to all our country, to all the counties and all the payams of our country, provision of agriculture. I am happy to report that when we went to China last time in May, we engaged with a lot of business people, and last week they came here. They are now in South Sudan. They have gone to all the 10 states, assessing their investment in the agricultural sector in all the 10 states and 3 administrative areas. So we really believe that the SPLM program of development, of delivering service to the people, will be the glue that keeps us together rather than a power struggle. We think that it doesn't matter who will lead us, but it matters what policies and what programs they have to implement in our country. So that is where we stand, and that is where we're coming from.
Let me take a few of your calls before we wrap up the question. And as we do so, let me just go on a quick break so that your calls can come in, and then he can also and let me play for you something. And the number to call is 0981 876 876. 0981 876 876. We are with Honorable Peter Lamboth, Secretary General of Sudan People's Liberation Movement. You have been hearing him addressing every facet of the society.
Hello, Comrade Madingar.
Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, Terap.
Good evening to you, Comrade Madingar.
Yeah, welcome. Munumana, who is calling?
Maga Yi from Mangaten.
You're welcome. What is your question? El Sual Chino?
Comrade Lambot, the Secretary General of the ruling SPLM,
Yes.
and you, Madingar.
Yes, thank you.
My question to Comrade Peter Lambot is SPLM of 1983 the same again with the SPLM of today? That is one. The second question is SPLM aware of majority of graduates and the youth are jobless in the Republic of South Sudan? Meanwhile, people are employed on who you know, not the qualification. Is SPLM aware of this?
Thank you very much. Your question is crystal clear. Let's give a chance to others. And the number to call is 0981 876 876. 0981 876 876. Good evening, Terap. Yes, be far from your radio or put it on silent.
Yes.
Who's calling?
Good evening to the guys in the studio.
Your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Jock from Serkat.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, my question goes to Secretary General. I also have a question, Secretary General, that are the SPLM really ready for the election? If yes, then what have they done so far for the election to be conducted?
Okay, he has been explaining it, but
insecurity is there.
Insecurity
Is there still. Then no mobility, no road connected everywhere. I don't know how.
Talking about insecurity, lack of mobility, how will elections happen when those challenges are still there? I think that is your question. Good evening, Terap.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Good evening, Terap.
Yes, good evening.
Yes. Who's calling?
This call.
You're calling from?
My question goes
You're
to
calling from where?
Secretary General from Munuki.
Okay.
My question goes to Secretary General Lambot. He's a very good person. Is SPLM is a really political? If it's a really political in agreement, they make destruction, and in agreement written that every destruction, the government should pay the consequence to develop the village or the town. Two, is SPLM a really political party? Because they have some volunteer in their office. A volunteer in this world cannot stay work for 3 months or 6 months. Only 3 months you be given assignment so that you learn things. Why is it taking sometimes 5 years?
Okay, thank you very much. You are saying the SPLM destroyed. Can the SPLM build? And if it builds, then it is a real political party. And the number is 0981 876 876. 0981 876 876. And we are on Fixing South Sudan with Honorable Peter Lambert, the Secretary General of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. Good evening, Terab. Please be far from your radio. Good evening, Terab.
Hello?
Good evening, Terab.
Yes.
Move away from your radio, please. Yes.
Okay, good.
Who's calling and where are you calling from?
This is Justin from Newside.
Justin from Newside. Welcome to the program.
Yes. I want to ask a question from the guys in the studio. Are we ready for the election in South Sudan while there is insecurity and everywhere?
Okay.
That is one question. Number two, SPLM open the windows to every corrupt activities. Every corrupt
Open a window
individual.
to every corrupt individual to be part of it.
Yes.
What is the question?
Is that the way we are going to lead the nation
Okay.
for corruption?
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe we are going to take last call and then we will give the Secretary General a chance to address some of the questions. Good evening, Terab.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Good evening, Terab. You're on Terab Radio.
Hello?
Yeah.
We are hearing you.
Oh, I hear you very far. I don't know why.
Where are you calling from? And what is your name?
I'm Santino. I'm calling from Cameroon.
Kemuru? Okay, Mia
Yes,
Osaba.
I'm from Cameroon.
Yeah. What is your question?
Well, Comrade Madingor,
Mm.
I appreciate your discussions, and I wanted to say this. I'm one of the people who is very concerned and who is very skeptical about the success of elections due to the fact that I am really quite, there is nothing wrong, but there is a confusion between SPLM and the Republicanism. SPLM should have been wound down to be a mere political party, but SPLM should have not been a political party. Every member in South Sudan, including the political parties, are actually members of SPLM because SPLM is an ideology rather than a party. And I believe, I myself, that our president, Salva Kiir Mayardit, is a vice president, which is a president of SPLM, and which is the ideology of South Sudan, and is the president of Republic of South Sudan, which is the political party designed by the SPLM.
What is the
for
question?
the civil society of South Sudan, who were under SPLM.
You are saying
Confusion in this is what is causing all confusion to our nation, and is what is confusing people, winding down the SPLM into a narrow party rather than a general, neutral ideology of people of the South Sudan.
Okay, let's put it
For
to the
me,
Secretary General and see.
That has to be something that has to be put into consideration first, that our president has to be known as a president of the Republic of South Sudan from a Republican party. And the SPLM...
Okay, thank you very much. And we are going to give it to the Secretary General to glean whether he has something to react to that. You can address those callers.
Well, thank you very much, Comrade Aye from Mangatene. about whether the SPLM of 1983 is the same as the SPLM of today. I want to say that they are the same and they are different. They are the same in that those who framed and founded the SPLM, SPLA are also the same leaders that we have today, in the sense that the vision at the time of 83 was the liberation vision for South Sudan. And after the independence, the vision is how to deliver services to the people of South Sudan after they are now independent. So there have been a lot of ups and downs in the SPLM history, and I think they are also similar. In '83, there was a leadership problem, and there was a question of the vision of the SPLM, and people fought among themselves in '83. And in '87, they united themselves with Anyanya 2. In '91, again, a split happened within the SPLM. It was again power struggle. To those who wanted to take power from Dr. John, and Dr. John wanted to keep power there. And so we had that problem, but in 2002, unification took place between the SSPDF, led by Riek Machar at the time, and the SPLM leadership. So in 2013, we are back to square one again, which is why I'm telling you that it is similar and different. In 2013, again, power struggle happened within the SPLM. War started. Again, there was the question of vision. People were saying that the vision of SPLM is no longer being implemented. Those people who were actually responsible for implementing the vision, they said why the vision was not being implemented. So it brought us to this far. So all I'm saying is that the consistency of the SPLM as a party that is working for the interests of the people of South Sudan has never changed. But the leaders will always change and will always jump off the train, and those who are determined and who have firm commitment will continue to move forward for the interests of our people. The part of your question was related to unemployment. The SPLM is aware of the unemployment that we have in our country, and that is why I was discussing before that we need to have and we need to attract private sector to come to South Sudan and invest so that majority of our people are employed there. We need to have empowerment programs for youth and women through soft loans. I think that will also give them opportunity for employment. And the government itself will also employ some of them. But most importantly, the people themselves must be able to look beyond government jobs, because currently graduates are sitting with their degrees and waiting for the government to give them a job. Sometimes it is good to have your own way of earning your money rather than it is even paying better when you are doing your own business. So government is not the answer to everything, but we have also personal responsibility as citizens of South Sudan to make sure that we look beyond government. In terms of the employment, there will always be problems. You talk about nepotism. These are things that the SPLM will always continue to fight against. At the moment today, we have in the system, in our government, more than 6,000 people who have 600 and something people who are retired, but their positions will open and many youths will also apply and be able to be absorbed into those positions. So coming to question of Jock, is SPLM ready for elections? I think I have explained before that the SPLM is organized from grassroots all the way to the top leadership. The SPLM is united. The SPLM is in contact with grassroots level. The SPLM is doing whatever is necessary to get ready for elections. When it comes to the insecurity and mobility, I want to answer this in two ways. Insecurity. We think that the deployment of this unified force, which will happen very soon, is going to solve some of those problems. But let me be also very clear that you cannot have 100% security all over the country in order for you to conduct an election, because that is not possible. There will always be pockets of cattle rustling here and there, but it will not stop you from an election. It did not stop us in 2010. You remember when we were in the Sudan, the government of Sudan used to hold elections. And South Sudan was still at war at that time, but they were also continuing to hold elections with President Bashir being declared the winner. So pockets of insecurity in a country do not hinder the practice of democracy. Mobility, by mobility, I hope you mean to say that there are no roads. Well, at least South Sudan today is better than it was in 2010, and we still conducted a successful election in 2010. Now we have some of our states in Greater Equatoria and Greater Barghazal. They are now accessible by road. Some of the road network is already constructed, and the road network is also going to Upper Nile. It is now in Bor, and it is moving towards Upper Nile and Unity State. So we will be better. With the issue that Comrade Kwal talked about, you know, the SPLM has its vision for South Sudan. What happened in 2013 was not an intentional mistake. It was something that happened as a result of power struggle. We believe that SPLM is the one that will deliver development to the people of South Sudan. Even with this war on, Comrade Kwal, you know that in 2005, Juba was not looking like this, if you were here. And you know that even in the last 2-3 years, Juba was not looking like this. So something has happened. Something has been done by the SPLM. There is now tarmac road in South Sudan. Nobody has seen tarmac road in South Sudan since time of creation. This is all done by the SPLM. Can you imagine if war was not there, how much we would have achieved? So we say, it is give us chance for SPLM to implement its vision, and for volunteerism in the party. No one is employed permanently in a political party. People are there as volunteers. When the time comes for assignment, you are given. If you are able to be transitioned to a private sector, it is also well and good. But party always looks for volunteers in order to advance its interests, because you cannot have permanent employees in a party.
Let me play this song, and then I'm going to ask my next question.
Tiger Battalion.
Now, what inspiration do you get from remembering where we are coming from, the people who fought for these countries, the heroes and heroines? As the one now in charge, the Secretary General of the SPLM, what do you say about that past, where SPLM is coming from?
You know, those revolutionary songs are very emotional when you listen to them. And it reminds you of the struggle. Some of those people that you hear singing here, they are not there. But their voice will remain here forever. That message is very strong. It's saying that the struggle must continue even if only 2 people remain. Now, how many people have remained from those who founded the SPLM in 1983? There's only one, and that is Comrade Salva.
The original five.
The original five. The only sixth one was the man who received us in Ethiopia in 83, who was the governor of Gambela State. It's called Thowas Pal. This is the second person who is still alive. These are the only two.
He's coming to this show next week.
And I think our people will really learn from him. He's a true revolutionary and a true SPLM member, even though he's in a different country. That gives us the inspiration, Comrade Mading, that they have done their job. And every time you sit in a position like where I'm sitting now, I must reflect on what they did. And I must ask myself a question: will I be the one to let down their spirit, to let down their soul, to fail them in death? That is why, no matter how difficult the situation is, as Jesh Hammer, I think we have the responsibility to take on the baton and to move forward with it. The least we would do is to fail the mission, and I don't think we'll fail the mission. There are many Red Army out there, outside.
And what would you say about the veterans? There are hundreds of them. What is your party's plan for the veterans?
You know, since I took over, we are developing a retirement package for our senior cadres. It is now being refined by our economic sector. They are working on it. The process is led by Dr. Lualai Shuekdeng, and the rest of the highly skilled individuals. They are working on it. We think, and I believe, that the SPLM must honor the liberators of this country. It is good you have this long list here in front of us, comrade. This list, we are going to use it. Even if we give whatever is small we have, we must say thank you to those who participated in the liberation. Even if they might have passed on, their children are there. They must be honored, even if it is not much, but at least they should know that the SPLM has not forgotten them. It was wrong for us to have started without first honoring their commitment for 21 years.
Can South Sudan be fixed? Will South Sudan be fixed?
It definitely will be, and it will be the best. Because I believe that we have learned from war now. We know what war can bring, and we don't want to go back to it. And for that reason, we want this negative image that has been imposed on us by our own comrades. We want to clean it by making South Sudan the best center in East Africa. I believe in the next 10 years we are going to be the destination like Dubai. That's what I believe.
The elections are coming. What are you telling the people? What should they know? What is in it for them?
What is in it for them is that the next decade of SPLM will be a decade of development. We are going to tackle agricultural sector. We are going to invest in agriculture. Whatever funds we will be getting, whether from tax revenues or from oil sector or from minerals, we must be able to invest in agriculture so that we defeat poverty in our country. We must invest in roads so that the agricultural produce that you have in your locality, you are able to transport it on good roads to the marketplaces. We will invest in electricity and energy because there is no industrial development if you don't have a stable source of energy like hydroelectric power. We cannot run our country's economy on generators. That is unbecoming, and it is outdated, and it is environmentally degrading. And we believe that services, basic services, education, everything else that our people need in the next decades, we should be able to deliver because we have no choice. We have no reason not to do that. And that's why we say vote for SPLM next year.
And when you say the elections are coming, what should the populations do? Wait, or is there something that they have to do to prepare for the elections?
Well, first of all, I think the populations need to make sure that their areas are safe, that they they engage with the neighboring communities in dialogue, that they need to know that war is finished, and now we are going to build back our social fabric. We need to feel belong. We need to be part of the community of South Sudan. There should not be discrimination. There should not be fighting among ourselves. And that when the registration for voting comes, they should be able to register themselves and be ready for elections. And we want peaceful election. We don't want any interruptions. We don't want anybody having problem with anyone, because this is the future of our country really hangs on these elections, because without it, we'll continue to have this big government that is taking all resources and which cannot deliver anything to our people.
And we started by talking about when you were the internal Secretary General, the acting Secretary General. You are now the confirmed Secretary General of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. What does that mean to you personally?
You know,
the opportunity to be able to serve and to be at the helm of the SPLM.
You know, I really want to thank the leadership of SPLM in the person of Comrade Salva Kiir for giving me the opportunity and the trust to serve at this time, not only as interim Secretary General, but as a Secretary General. I believe, and I started the work of SPLM, Comrade Mading, you know very well. When I was the SPLM representative in Canada, you were our journalist for the New Sudan Vision.com, which carried all the news of the SPLM. SPLM is really in our blood. When I was asked to be Secretary General that night, I was shocked because I did not expect it. I was not the one coming and my name was not there. So it was Comrade Salva who unilaterally, by himself, said that I nominate Comrade Peter. That what made me not to sleep was that, am I going to disappoint the SPLM membership? Am I going to let down the spirit of those who went and died for the liberation of this country? Or do I have the capacity to be the Secretary General of the SPLM? And this is the first time a young person has been asked to be a Secretary General in a big party like the SPLM. But I answered, my answer was that I think I have what it takes to take the SPLM forward, to unite the leadership of the SPLM, especially members of the former military high command, and the rest of our veterans who are outside there. And I want to appeal to them, all our veterans, that the unity of us as SPLM and the liberators is important for survival of SPLM. I have never met anyone in my life, whether they are in the opposition party or in SPLM, who would say that I wish SPLM is not there, because they still believe that they are part of SPLM even though they are in their own parties there. What takes them there is somebody wants to become a minister, somebody wants to become president, somebody wants to become something. But as SPLM, as one of the callers indicated, SPLM is an ideology. It is in the blood of those who liberated this country. And they would wish and they want to see SPLM prosper. I'm very sure when the election happens and the SPLM wins and we begin to deliver services to the people, most of these small political parties will disband and join the SPLM.
And one of my earlier questions was about where SPLM is and where it is, literally where it is operating from a prefab. And is that going to be where the SPLM will find itself, or is SPLM moving somewhere better?
The first building in Juba would have been for the SPLM, but it was unfortunate that it didn't take place. Whatever attempts that were made did not produce anything. But I'm happy to report that we are building a headquarters, which is not a very fancy headquarters, but is a modest headquarters. For now, and I hope that before the end of this year, the National Secretariat of SPLM will move from the prefab, and it will be in the SPLM Plaza grounds. But my vision is that we are going to build one of the biggest towers for SPLM in South Sudan that will remain a landmark that people would say that is the SPLM building. So we cannot cry over the spilled milk. We still have the energy, the mental capacity, and the resources to be able to take the SPLM to the next level. So where the SPLM is now, the SPLM is coming out of it, and it is going to a better place.
And they always say that a month is a long time in politics, and indeed a year is a long time. What would you say about the road ahead? What message do you want the people to keep at the back of their minds?
I want our people to know that the SPLM cares for them. The SPLM has been put in a very serious problem by its own former members and former leaders, but we believe that time is over. We want the SPLM members now to be united, to come together, to win an election that is coming up, and for us to compete freely with the rest of other political parties. We are asking every member of the SPLM to allow any party to open their office, operate freely, so that this question of political space is put to rest. Let those parties who just fear nothing be the ones to fear the shadow. And so I want all of us as SPLM members to be united, work together with Comrade Salva Kiir Mayardit, our Commander-in-Chief and our Chairman, to take us to the next decade of development for our country.
And that brings us to the end of Fixing South Sudan show with Honorable Peter Lambot, Secretary General, Sudan People's Liberation Movement. Have you fixed SPLM?
Definitely, we are in the process. We have started and we are continuing to fix it. And the fixing will continue until into a very long future because things keep changing.
And SPLM will fix South Sudan?
SPLM will definitely fix South Sudan. Nobody else will do it.
Thank you for being in the show. Shukran jazilan.
Shukran.
بلدي بلد كثير الخيرات فيه كل ثروات الزراعية والحيوانية والمعادن فكيف أكون جعان وكيف أكون عاريان وكيف أكون مرضان بدون دواء في بلدي الغنية